Welcome to the part 2 of the poem The Road Not Taken. The part 1 we saw how to read the poem, and I hope you have practiced it more than at least 4 or 5 times, and you have done it in the way I have asked you to. So if you have done that, then let's start with the explanation for the poem. The Road Not Taken, which is the poem is divided into 4 stanzas. So let's straight away jump into the poem and its explanation. So please pay attention to the explanation. So the road not taken, the first stanza goes like this. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. So two roads, very clear that there are two roads diverged. Diverged, the meaning is given in your glossary, the word diverged. Diverge means separated and took a different direction. And when we talk about diverge, the word diverge in terms of roads, it's very clearly to mean that a road is at one point at an intersection or at a junction is getting divided into two parts. That is, one road gives way to two roads. But this road in the poem that we're talking about, two roads diverged where? In a yellow wood. Now what is yellow wood? Wood here simply means forest, and yellow wood because all the leaves in the forest are what color? Yellow in color, because the season is autumn season. Right? I have told you before in the first part, the poem is written in this during the season, or the poem tells us the timing of the poem is during the season of autumn. So during autumn what happens? Leaves on trees become yellow, dry, and they start falling off from the branches to the ground. As a result, everything appears yellowish in color. Generally, leaves are green in color, but during autumn the leaves turn yellow and they fall off, right, from the tree. So that's why the poet has used the words yellow wood to indicate that a forest, setting of the forest during the season of autumn. And sorry, I could not travel both. Travel what? Travel the roads, because you are going by the road and now the two roads have diverged in the forest, right? And can you travel both the roads? You cannot. So the poet says, and sorry, I could not travel both and be one traveler. As a human being, we are one, right? Singular. So we cannot divide ourselves. We are not like bacteria or say atoms which can divide itself, right? We are a human being, and as a whole we are singular. So if there are two roads, how many roads can you travel as a human being? Just one road. So he says, I could not, and he's sorry because he cannot travel both the roads. He is interested to travel on both the roads. And be one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Long I stood and looked down one. So I'm standing, I means the poet. So the poet is standing in front of the fork. That is, the fork is this point where the two roads are diverged, right? So he's standing here, right here he's standing, and he's looking and trying to decide which road to take. And how is he trying to decide that? By looking at both the roads, to trying to judge which road is better, right? You have a pakka road and you have a kacha road. Which one will you choose if you're traveling by car or say even for walking? You will try to choose the road which is pakka road, that is a better shaped road. So he's trying to see all these things to where it bent in the undergrowth. So as he is watching the road in the distance till where he can see, he sees the road is going and then it has bent, and his view is obstructed by the grass, that is the undergrowth, which has been growing on the sides of the road or on the road. So we come to the second paragraph. So that is the first road that he is talking about, where he is looking at the road and the road has suddenly taken a turn in the distance and is blocked by undergrowth, that is growth of grass and other shrubs etc. in the forest. So then took the other just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. Then took the other means there were two roads. So first road he is watching and observing, and he has chosen which roads? He has chosen the second road. Then took the other just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. And he says the reason for choosing this second road is, I think this second road has a better claim. Better claim, yesterday I told you to underline it. Better claim means a claim which is better than the other. So according to the poet, after looking at both the roads and decided that the second road for him is better, because, and he gives the reason. What does he give? Because it was grassy and wanted wear. Because simple reason the poet gives is that the road was grassy, grass was there on the road, so walking on it will be softer on his heels, right? We like to walk on grass, isn't it? And wanted wear here simply means that if you keep on walking on top of grass repeatedly, the grass will die. And have you seen roads in villages or somewhere in a field where there is a track in the middle of the grass? That track symbolizes or indicates that people walk upon that. So repeated walking on that track or upon that portion of grass or part of grass will kill the grass. As a result, the soil will be visible. So he sees that in the second road there is no such tracks, permanent tracks made yet. So he thought that this road has been less traveled by, and I will try to choose this road because there is grass as well. Then last two lines of the second paragraph. Though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. But then again, looking at the first road and the second road, he says, but looking at the passing there, that is when I passed by it, I saw that both of the road had almost been equally walked upon. Okay, both of the road have been equally walked upon and almost looked the same, had warned them really about the same. So no matter whoever has walked on both the roads, or whoever, how many people have walked, he doesn't know, right? We cannot know that, but somehow to the eye it looks that both of the roads appear to be walked almost the same. So that is the end of the second paragraph. Now we are going to go to the third paragraph. So first and second paragraph, we see what? We see that the poet is trying to come to a decision and he is confused which road to choose. So there is confusion, there is indecision, and he is not very sure. So he is trying to look at everything and trying to calculate and come to a decision, because he does not want his decision to be wrong as well, right? Because as I told you yesterday, this poem is about what? It is about choices in life, right? It's indirectly talking about choices in life. So as a result, what will happen is, if you make a wrong choice, sometimes you might have to pay a price for that. And as a rational human being, we try to avoid mistakes. Although mistakes happen, but we learn from the mistakes and move on. So the same thing is happening here. The poet is trying to make a very correct decision by looking at his surroundings and looking at both the roads and trying to judge which road is better. But he is getting confused because, as we see in the last two lines of the second paragraph, second stanza, that to his eye both the roads look almost same, right? So now we move to the third paragraph. And both that morning and both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. So he says, and that morning, that particular morning, both the roads looked covered with leaves in equal manner. It's not like one road was covered with more leaves and the other was covered with less leaves. As you know, this road, both the roads are inside a forest, right? So, and the season is autumn, so leaves will fall. And what color leaves are there? Yellowish. So when you walk upon dried leaves, what happens to the leaves? They get crumpled, they get crushed, and sometimes they turn blackish in color as they get more rotten, right? So he's even looking at this very minutely, both the roads, and he says that that morning both the roads lay equally covered in leaves, and that morning, particular morning, he was the first person to reach that point where the two roads are divided, because he could look at the leaves that were falling on the road, and he could see that the leaves were undisturbed. No step marks, no footprints, no blackness of the leaves has occurred. That is, the leaves have fallen freshly in the morning, and whichever road he chooses at that moment, he is going to walk upon the leaves, and he is going to be the first person in that morning. And that is the meaning of first 2, 3, 4 lines of the third stanza. Last two lines of the third stanza tells us, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. So right now we get the understanding that he has already made his decision and he has chosen one road, the second road. And he says, although I have chosen, oh, I kept the first for another day. So he is already telling us clearly that the first road I will take it another day. Today I am going to travel by the second road. And the regret in his mind is what? The last two lines tell us about his regret. The regret is that he knows that if I take the second road today, I am not sure that any time in the future I'll be able to come back to the first road, because once you start on a journey, you do not come back to the original position, right? You keep on going and going till you reach your destination. And once you reach your destination, then again things might change. Would you like to come back to the starting point again? I don't think so. And the poet also knows this, and he says, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. So he doubts whether he will ever come back to the first road. So that means in a way he is saying goodbye to the first road. So that gives him a sudden pang of sadness. Come to the last paragraph. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. So he is telling that sometimes ages and ages here means that years and years later, okay, hence that is after passing of a lot of time, I shall be telling this. Telling what? Telling this story of that particular morning, or in a poetic form, or maybe to somebody, or maybe to himself, or he'll be remembering it, whatever the situation may be. Somewhere ages and ages hence, many years down the line, I'll remember that once upon a time, one morning I was standing in a forest, and last three lines of the fourth stanza, please look at it, and I will be remembering what? That two roads diverged in a wood, and I. So he is saying again repetition of the first line of the first paragraph, right? For what? Why is the poet repeating the two lines? Why is the poet repeating the line twice? Because he wants to create emphasis that two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by. So according to him, the second road that he chose on that morning, or this morning, that road was less traveled, and the first road was more traveled by people, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And because I chose the road which was the second road, and the road which was less traveled by, right? So that means what can be the meanings of this last line? And that has made all the difference. So he says, is he saying it with regret? No, it does not look like he is saying this with regret, because he's still telling us, right, about the poem, or about his experience. So maybe he has done something, and he is only having little bit of regret because he did not travel the first road, but he is not totally disappointed that he chose the second road, because wherever, in which position in life he is right now, he is content and he is happy, but little bit of sadness. Why? Because he did not choose the other road, right? Because he does not know what would have happened going if he would have chosen the other road, which point in his life he would have been right now. It's like having the choice of two ice creams. You have the chocolate flavor and you have the say vanilla flavor. Most of us would do what? We'll say one scoop of chocolate and one scoop of vanilla. We would like to have taste of both, isn't it? So for the author, the roads are like ice cream. He has chosen chocolate today, but he regrets not tasting vanilla, because he does not know what it tastes like. Maybe after tasting vanilla he would have decided that he likes chocolate better only, right? But he has not tasted vanilla, so he does not know. So that is the regret, but still he is happy and content. So this is the meaning, and this poem is telling us about what? That no matter whatever choices you make in life, every choice has a consequence. So we should try to make the correct choice, decide properly. And as you have seen in the poem, he took his time in front of the fork in the road to decide which road to choose. He tried to get as much details as possible by looking at the roads, right, comparing them. Then he's looking at his surroundings. He could see the grass growing and blocking his view of the first road, right? The second road looked like that nobody has walked upon it, or maybe it has been walked less by people, chosen less. So that can also symbolize what? That the less chosen road means the hard road, where there might be more challenges, more difficulties, because people always like to choose the easy way, isn't it? So if there is an easy way, this is the easy way and this is the hard way. So if there is the easy way and there are 100 people, say 70 people will choose the easy way. So that means if 70 people walk on that road, what will happen? The road will appear less or more walked upon. It will be appearing more walked upon, more trodden upon. But hard road which has been chosen by say 30 people, that road will be appear sorry that road will appear less walked upon, right? So you have to decide, you want to take the easy way out or you want to choose the hard way, face your struggles and finally overcome them, right? So it depends upon person to person. So that is the meaning that you can take from this poem. Now after going through this, please read the poem again and see if you do not understand any particular portion of the poem, particular line maybe, and after this take a look at the questions on the back. Fine, there are very few questions in this chapter. We'll discuss the answers in the next video along with some extra tasks. So for right now, in the second part, you'll be reading the poem again and again and you'll be listening to the explanation as many times as necessary. Okay, and one more thing, since you're using, most of you have been using the app Edmodo, so what you can do is you can leave certain comments or problems that you find in the comment section, okay, about the video and whatever explanation, any problems if you have, but do not write unnecessary stuff, right, because there are a lot of members. So if you find anything useful, important that you want to share, you please pass it on the comment section. I will try to get back to you at the earliest. Okay, see you then.